welcome back to the Sideline Chat podcast. Now, for the first time in a while, we are bringing you your Betfred Super League Week 17 debrief. With only 10 rounds left of the comp after this week, the race for the top 6, not necessarily tied, but it's still an interesting puzzle to solve by the end. We begin our coverage from the Hallowell-Jones Stadium in Warrington, where the Wolves and the Rhinos will be doing battle.
Yeah, this is actually going to be quite a juicy matchup, considering from the results from the week that just went.
Of course, both played last Saturday morning. Castleford getting the better of Darryl Powell's side, going up 23-14, whilst Leeds, in their MND awareness round, pumped the Huddersfield Giants 54-0. Where have we seen this from the Leeds Rhinos? Let's just start off with the away side first and foremost.
I was going to say, where did that result come from the Leeds Rhinos? We did not see this one coming whatsoever.
I mean, dead set. No one saw this one coming. I didn't even see this coming. I was just like, all right, well, sure, Jake Connor's getting played in the reserves, but surely they've still got a strong enough side. I mean, you look at their spine. Who do they have? They have Will Price at fullback,
yep.
Ollie Russell, Theo Farge in the halves, Nathan Peets at dummy half, and then Tui Lolohea was coming off the bench. You can't ask for a better spine than that.
No, you can't.
But it must have been an omen that had come over the top of Headingley Stadium because, of course, as we've just mentioned, it was motor neurone disease awareness round, and of course, the great Rob Burrow, he was there at Headingley, and the Burrow family essentially took over the Sky Sports broadcast for the first 20 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Or actually throughout the whole game.
But it's good that Sky Sports let them do that, though. Like, obviously they've been heavily affected by MND, so...
For the Burrow family, it's not been easy for them.
Well, it's not easy for any family, don't get me wrong, but yeah, especially them. Like, Rob Burrow, absolute legend of the Super League.
492 career Super League games for his one and only club, the Leeds Rhinos.
That's a
8-time grand final winner, if I'm remembering off the top of my head correctly. He's a Harry Sunderland medalist. He's represented both England and Great Britain on multiple occasions. I think close 30, 40 tests, maybe. A little bit of an exaggeration, but he still represented England and Great Britain. He's won World Club Challenges. He's won Challenge Cups. He has achieved, if you're looking at it for the eyes of the British game, he has achieved nearly every single major piece of silverware throughout his entire career.
Yeah, the greatest of all time for the Super League.
He is one of the greats of the modern era. No doubt about it.
No doubt.
And just, you see how the rugby league community rallies behind one of its own. That is the beauty of rugby league. I mean, we always hear about either side of the world, the scandals, or the controversy surrounding players. But these are the good, feel-good moments. When the game rallies behind one of its champions that's really in a hole.
100%.
And they just rallied behind it. I mean,
yeah,
that is rugby league. That is what we do.
And that probably what would really push Leeds Rhinos to get a victory.
I have no doubt.
And they came out and absolutely annihilated the Giants.
Yeah, I think that was it. I think Rob Burrow was all the inspiration they needed.
Yeah.
I mean, with all the work Kevin Sinfield and others have done for charity, for raising money for motor neurone disease research. I mean, I haven't even read Kevin Sinfield's autobiography, but you just felt something when you read Rob Burrow's story. Just, you read Too Many Reasons to Live, and it was just like, oh, you're tugging on my heartstrings, man.
Yeah. No, but it's very nice, and it's so good that they get all behind it all, and that there needs to be more of this in rugby league, to be honest.
We don't highlight this enough. When we rally behind our own, But that's what this game, at its best, that's what it is.
100%.
It's just that.
Cannot argue about that.
I'm running out of words to describe it. We should really start talking about the game.
It is somewhat relevant,
but we do have to talk Rob Burrow when it comes to this, because impact on how the club did perform, of course. Blake Austin and Aiden Caesar had been playing at their best all year long. Either one was in or out at various stages. But in one of those very rare instances where they have been able to play together this year.
And they put on absolute freaking masterclass.
Austin got man of the match, hands down. I mean, Leeds were running circles all around the Giants. If they were going left, they were going right, and they were just bashing the door down through the middle. But I'll tell you who really stood tall for Leeds. And I know he's only just signed for the Wigan Warriors in recent days, but Sam Walters is coming in from the front row and taking the game head on. 2 tries, 131 running meters, 3 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, and a single offload. Oh, a fantastic effort.
100%.
Really was.
Fantastic effort. It's a shame that Leeds are now losing him.
To Wigan.
To Wigan.
But
is he going to be, what'd you say, improving on it when he goes to the Wigan?
I reckon he will.
Possibly, because Wigan are a top side.
Wigan, the Warriors, I reckon, I've said this before, Wigan have the best backline assembled across the whole of Super League. You look, Jai Field or Bevan French, whichever one of those you want to throw in there, but they're in there. Liam Marshall, Toby King, Jake Wardle, and Kate Cost, Harry Smith at the absolute best. Yeah. Wigan can challenge for a grand final.
100%.
And they are in a position that could set up a Wembley showdown against St. Helens, what I reckon could be a grand final qualifier. A grand final preview, but I don't know where the Giants go from here. Their attack was non-existent, and their defence was lousy at best.
Or even non-existent as well, you could say.
And no defence at its absolute worst. Austin ran them into the ground. Walters was just barging through the front door. But it's just an absolute effort Leeds put in. It really keeps them in the hunt with a win like this. For and against is very healthy looking.
See, the inconsistency of what the Rhinos have been like all season long, right? They've been a couple wins, couple losses, and then a couple wins again, or like one here and there. But that's why the result was so surprising, because of how inconsistent they've been all season long. And it's like, what Leeds side are we going to get this week? Are we going to get the good one or the bad one?
Well, we've got we're going to do this for Rob side, which is...
But they need to carry that on to this week coming, though.
Well, their opposition, the Warrington Wolves, are they beginning to falter after a good start to the season?
What was it, 9-0 to start the season?
8-0.
8-0 to start the season. Now they are starting to slip after...
Don't get me wrong, they're still running second, but they're not looking as convincing as they were for the first 2 months.
No.
A lot has gone through then, and Castleford, mind you, they didn't have George Williams for that game, and they won't have him for this clash against Leeds either, so that's a big blow as well.
Was that injury?
Yeah, injury.
Yeah.
And the game was evenly poised. They trailed 14-0 early in the piece, they rallied back, because that's what Warrington have been able to do. In most instances, they have stayed in the game long enough, but, I mean, Castleford just kick a couple of... Gareth Woodham kicks a drop goal, and another try gets set up, and another
ironically
penalty goal.
against his old club.
Yeah, that's exactly right. First time Warrington have played Castleford this year, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's pretty late in the piece, isn't it?
Yeah. But generally not all clubs play each other twice.
In most instances, they play some 3 times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think even with no Williams, Warrington let that game slip. They shouldn't have been in the position where they had to have been chasing the Tigers.
Not to where Castle have been playing all season, like second last on the ladder, and they probably still are second last on the table as we speak.
They are.
That was a shock to the league to see. Oh, hang on, Warrington been one of the best sides all year, getting upset by the second worst side of the league all year. So.
Looking at the table at the moment, there is 6 points separating the team in first, that being the Catalan Dragons, and Hull KR all the way down in 7th. Beyond that, Leeds and Hull FC are both trailing by 2 wins from Hull KR's point. So, if you open it up to 10 points, that's 9 teams challenging for a top 6 finish. Warrington, their record's sitting 11-5, which is actually a pretty good record.
That is a very, very good record.
But it's getting a bit tighter with both Wigan and leave, accompanied by Salford. They're all sitting on 20. All of them are sitting on 20.
And it's like he said, 10 weeks
And then
ago.
St Helens, Hull KR are both on 18. So if you get on a roll and you'll say Hull KR or St Helens and 746, you could realistically be second.
In a blink of
In
an eye.
a blink of a
and-
in the blink of a month, you could go from just inside the 6 to pushing Catalan for the league leaders shield.
You're going to have hope that results go your way as well.
Oh, yeah, of course.
As in, like, the ones in front of you lose as well. So you kind of need it to work out both ways, but they might not necessarily happen though.
It's always important, but it's a good...
Pretty much, the only two teams that aren't in contention are Huddersfield and Wakefield.
Well, I'd throw Huddersfield into that category as well. I think Huddersfield's season's practically done at this point.
Well, basically,
They're not looking likely to...
But other than that, everyone else is in contention for a top 6 spot.
Well, Leeds and Hull need to keep the momentum going. Now, Joe Westerman, I thought, playing at loose forward was the Tigers' best on that night. 82 run meters, 2 try assists, 1 tackle break, and 1 offload. But you definitely think that Jason Gary try was a very opportune moment for Andy Last there.
Yeah, it certainly was there. Yeah. Just a bit lost for words.
Yeah, I think that was a very opportune moment. And, of course, Matty Ashton's got a Matty Ashton. He's going to be finding his way to the try line. And for Darryl Power's side...
When doesn't he find the try line?
Very rarely. He doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Bad news for Andy Lasto. Nathan Massey is expected to be sidelined for a few weeks. He was the victim of a hip drop tackle from James Harrison, who in turn has been rubbed out for the next 2 games on top of No Williams.
Oh, that's going to hurt Warrington.
Well, considering that, Josh Maguire is basically rubbed out for the rest of the year, going to be terminated from his contract, or already is.
Yeah. Is that because of all the off-field shit?
Yeah, the charges with the foul language that no one has repeated since.
Well, it must be really bad. But I don't usually repeat it anyway, but it must be super bad if it's not being repeated.
So I'd expect Peter Mataldi either to fill in the back row whilst Cassiano continues at loose forward, and they really have to hope for Josh Drinkwater to come back into the side.
I think he will be, but I don't know how soon though.
Well, usually, right about now, when we've usually recorded, we haven't had the squads announced for the first game because by UK time they are always announced 24 hours before kickoff, so well up to the time they record. But at this point, Josh Drinkwater is named for Warrington. And I think there's really no changes for the Leeds Rhinos at this point. So
you'll probably play this week then, Drinkwater, I reckon.
Yeah, Drinkwater, I reckon.
If he's named in a squad at least, like before the match day team, I think pretty more than likely will be playing. I think I could be wrong. They could be naming him as a bit of a teaser. But they seriously need him in there if they want to beat Leeds and get back on the roll to what they were at the start of the season. Because they obviously want to stay in touch with Catalans on top.
Well, the rate the Catalan Dragons are setting for themselves, it is a impressive feat in and of itself. Now, both these sides went up against each other in round 1, and Warrington blew them off the park. What do you see in this game?
A lot has changed since round 1. As you said, Warrington on a slide. Leeds, yes, they're coming off a bit of a... they come off
in their last 6 games, Warrington have lost 3 of them, including 2 30-point thumpings in back-to-back weeks against the Leopards and against Hull FC at Magic. Other than that, they've beaten Wakefield, they've beaten top 6 hopeful Hull KR, and Huddersfield they were very lucky to beat 30-26. Leeds, on the other hand, some of their most recent wins includes that big drubbing at both Huddersfield and against Wigan, where Harry Newman scored 2 intercept tries.
That is true.
And they did go the distance with St Helens, going down 13-12 in the Golden Point thriller before losing to Castleford and Wakefield in consecutive weeks.
That's... Oh, yeah, speaking of that one, we'll get to Wakefield, but actually, yeah, they actually had a win there. Yeah, look, I'd say Warrington will bounce back.
After last week's performance, And given how well Austin and Caesar combined and gelled, I'm actually leaning more to the Leeds Rhinos on this occasion.
I want to drink water post. Would he make a difference if Warrington?
I really don't know, but I think Leeds will take a lot of confidence out of that big win, and we know they can score tries if they can just get everyone
It's just
under
the
their best 17.
Winning week in, week out, though.
Yeah, you're right, but I think on this occasion, I think Leeds Rhinos are the ones backing up a lot better than others, so I think Leeds 7-12.
No, I'm going to say Warrington 1-6 and a tight one.
Now we've got Wakefield Trinity at home to the Salford Red Devil. Also, of course, Salford went down to the Warriors 26-6 at home, whereas Wakefield got down on the road 28-12 by Hull KR.
Yeah. Which one do you want to start off? Wakefield?
Really no surprise. It was always to be expected.
Yeah.
It is easy just to tip against Wakefield every
Although
time
there was
this year.
that one surprise result.
That one win against the Leeds Rhinos. That's all it was.
We weren't recording the week after it happened.
That's all it was. Bloody only Wakefield beat Leeds, and it's like that one little hiccup, that one little speck of green in a season of red.
What are we heading into? Week 17?
This is round 17 of the Betfred Super League.
15 and 1 and 15.
They are 1 and 15 from
1 win,
16
15
matches.
Losses, yeah. With the 16th yet to play.
And considering that George Tafua and Lee Gaskell both decided to jump ship before the year was over.
Do you blame them though?
No, I don't blame at all.
Surprise more.
They weren't getting enough game time and they were coming back from injury, and then Bradford came knocking to say, hey, you want on an opportunity here? And be like, sure.
Yeah. I mean, you can't get any worse than Well, you could get worse at Wakefield, but look, at least if they're going to get more game time, other clubs might think, oh yeah, they're good, all right. But so they're mine.
Once again, Wakefield's defence was just woeful. I mean, their left side defensively, they allowed the right edge, centre wing pairing. 4 tries were conceded down on Wakefield's left side, with both Tom Opacek and the man who I've found to be the Hull KR's best performer, Lewis Senior. 2 tries, 252 run meters, 2 tackle breaks, and the line break that led to his second try. It's just, their attack went clunky, even with Luke Gale on Wakefield debut for the first time. Even Luke Gale couldn't salvage the situation. It was, from start to finish, it was Robins' wall-to-wall dominance.
100% it was. And look, it was to be expected though. And Robins coming off their Challenge Cup quarterfinals victory too would have helped them.
Against Salford, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, on that one where they absolutely crushed them. And they did not look like they were challenged. And this is the second consecutive semi-final appearance they will make at Headingley in about 3 weeks' time when they line up against the Wigan Warriors.
Ooh,
a club they've already beaten in round 1, mind you.
Yeah, but as you know, Challenge Cup is different to the Super League.
It's still the same principles. There's still an opponent, 80 minutes.
I know.
And there is a big shot at silverware on the line, a trip to Wembley when the bank holiday rolls round.
Yes, I know. But still. But speaking of Hull KR, there has been an immediate retirement from fullback Lachlan Coote.
Yes, unfortunately, due to ongoing concussion issues, Coote has unfortunately made the decision, or enforced, into a medical retirement effective immediately.
As you said off air, he was meant to retire at the end of the season anyway, but it's just been pushed.
I believe he was going to retire at the end of the year anyway.
Well, there you go, yeah.
And Sean Kenny Dale's heading the same way as well, the current skipper of the Robins.
What, medical retirement?
No, he's just retiring. I mean, he's 34 from memory.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting on. You can't play forever unless you're Cliffy Lyons, who can just continue playing even though he's batting close to 60 at the moment.
Yeah. But yeah, okay, they're actually on a bit of a roll at the moment.
Well, they've arrested some of the momentum because you've got to remember, round about the Easter May period, Hull KR were on fire. I mean, they were running third at one point, behind both Warrington and the Catalan Dragons, and to try and seal away that top 2 who finished. But they've fallen off a little bit. They're starting to get back into keeping touch with the 6 at the moment. But I still think there's a bit of a way to go with that.
Yeah, like there's 10 weeks to go, of course. But it's good to see that starting to get back to where they were not that long ago.
Meantime, Salford were almost completely shut out by the Wigan Warriors at the AJ Bell Stadium.
Which was a new record attendance at the AJ Bell Stadium, about 7,700 at the Armed Forces round.
Yeah, I believe that was Armed Forces is round.
For Salford, but yeah. And a new record attendance, as I just said, at AJ Bell. But to be honest, I was kind of expecting a Wigan victory, to be quite honest. The difference between Salford and Wigan are just too far apart.
Yeah, Wigan just too slick, too good, and they were just pouring on all the pressure. It was bad enough that you lost Brodie Croft. Was it in the quarterfinal against the Robins? Because I know he did fail HIA at one point.
Well, it might have been the week before.
I think that might have actually been the case.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you lost Ryan Briley as well, so you lost your...
Fullback.
Yeah, you lost your star half and fullback in that blow, so he won't take the field against Wakefield. Another captain's knock, I've got to say, Liam Farrell, 2 tries, 113 run meters, 2 tackle breaks and a line break. But highlight of the day had to go to Liam Marshall for his second try.
100%. That was awesome.
That was just... He pounces on the loose ball. Salford don't know what to do with it. And then he's just there. He takes off lightning quick. It's like you'll blink and you'll miss him scoring.
Yep. Yep, it kind of sums up that whole game for Salford, really. Make a boo-boo against the top side, and that's all what
If you can't stick with them, then you're going to be in for a rough afternoon. And afternoon it certainly was.
It certainly was, but hey, can't win them all, unfortunately.
No, you can't.
But we're still sticking with the 6, so I'm happy with that.
Wakefield have not fared well at all. Only that glimmer of hope against Leeds. Leeds at Headingley a couple of weeks ago. Whereas Salford, 4 of the last 2 they have won. They're looking very healthy at the moment.
4 of the last 2?
4 of the last 6.
That's better.
4 of the last 6, including beating both sides of Hull and the demolition job against Castleford. But against the top sides, not so well. Saints and Wigan as of late. But, I mean, come on, it's Wakefield. Yeah. And barring a controversial pitch inspection that means the Be Well Support Stadium is not up to standard.
Oh my God! They've actually admitted it.
No, I'm just saying. I imagine it's just an ongoing issue. But what's going to happen first?
Also, you had me excited for a second.
But what's going to happen first? Is the North Stand going to get completed first, or are Wakefield going to get relegated? That's the question we need
Wakefield's going to get relegated.
Yeah, I reckon that's going to happen. Salford, 100%. Even with no O'Croft, no Briley, Salford still win comfortably for me, 7-12.
13-20 for Salford. It's
universally, it's going to be a Salford win.
Yeah. Well, I hope it certainly does. If we lose to Wakefield, then this guy's going to give me absolute shit for it.
Well, we haven't lost to Wakefield, so...
yeah, but you support St. Helens who can beat anyone.
Yeah, we beat the Panthers. That's what we did. We're the World Club champions.
Exactly.
And we're going to go for 5 in a row, believe me.
So you're going to give me shit if Salford lose to Wakefield, like you did when the Dragons lost to the Tigers in NRL on Magic Weekend.
Well, you bloody deserve that after Canterbury narrowly went down to Canberra.
Yeah, no, but that was funny.
Yeah, well, you knew what was coming, and you still weren't prepared for it.
No, because
you were nowhere near prepared for what was coming.
I was expecting that result to happen.
I was. Yeah. I was expecting the Tigers to go back to back.
Yeah. Anyway.
yeah.
We're going to NRL, not Super League.
Now, the Lee Sports Village will be the main scene in front of the Sky Sports cameras. The Leopards playing host to Hull KR, where the Leopards actually got involved in a high-scoring entanglement with the Catalan Dragons, albeit ending up on the wrong side of the ledger at 38-30.
Yeah, it was a very high-scoring game and a very competitive game, I must say there. It just goes to show how much the Leopards have improved
in 2 years.
Well, yeah, from when they were the Centurions now to the Leopards.
It was a tennis match. I honestly felt like it was a tennis match with the longest rally you'll ever see when they were just trading tries. That's what they were doing.
100% they were. When was the last time we saw a competitive match like that in the Super League? That went try for try for try for try nearly all match.
Oh, I mean, we can think of recent results, but this was probably the most entertaining match.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only crime was not being shown on the Sky Sports cameras.
But when was the last time we said entertaining in the same sentence as the Lee Leopards? Or Lee in general?
Well, Lee have been very entertaining this year. They have very much stood up on
over
their
the
own
last
2
few,
feet.
Over the last few years, when was the last time we said it? Never.
Very rarely.
Yeah.
I would say very rarely, given that the Leopards only featured in Season 1, didn't get a mention until the very end of Season 2 when the £1 million game was on, and then this year when they've come back.
I know, but still haven't mentioned them much.
But they just couldn't ice it, Lee. They actually got to the lead very late in the piece, but a Tom Johnston double sort of put it to bed at very late.
Well, at least we know where the Leopards are at this season. They're very competitive.
Well, yeah, they can go toe-to-toe with the Catalan Dragons, who, by their own form and their own right, they have shot to the top of Super League once again for the second time in 3 years.
Yeah, but can they keep it there? We just had to wait and see.
You know what? I honestly think they can.
I don't know.
think Catalan are looking very healthy at the moment. I don't see any reason why not.
Yeah, but St. Helens haven't quite hit their stride yet.
Well, Saints keep getting players injured or concussed, so it's very hard to get a read on. But all the key men of Catalan are there. They're looking very good. And look, another captain's knock from another loose forward, Benjamin Garcia. 2 tries, 105 run meters, 6 tackle breaks, and 2 line breaks. See? I don't keep picking Tom Johnston every week just because he scores a double or a hat-trick. And he's literally the Super League's top try scorer at the moment.
That's a rarity.
But I have picked Archie Morg as well, and I have picked other standalones.
But
like
most ones being Tom Johnston, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's basically like I picked Bevan French at Jai Field practically for Wigan all throughout last year.
That is true.
I mean, if you look back, and I could put all the graphs up for the evidence, that majority of the time I was either picking Bevan French at Jai Field as Wigan's its best player.
Yep, 100%. But they deserved it, though.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they were literally demanding selection. It was just like, you just could not pick them because they were playing so well for the Warriors.
Yeah, 100%. 100% true there.
Now, Lee, they will be without Umila Hanley after he took a knock to his shoulder in that loss.
Is he related to Ash Hanley?
Ellery Hanley.
So Ash isn't related.
Handley, not Hanley.
Oh, sorry. It sounds very similar. Come on, it sounds similar.
Yep. Okay, yep. That was the producers in my ear. Apparently, they want to have a look at your salary now. You asked your drugs test. Now they want to take a look at your finances for the last couple of years.
Looks like I won't be here next week.
Apparently, it was self-reported by your intern, whose name I don't know because I don't really have anything to do with your interns. That's your business. But apparently, they self-reported it to the producers, so we'll need to keep an eye on that one.
Rightio. If I'm not here next week, that's why.
No, you probably will be, but you'll, we'll see about that. Catalan also lost Mikhail Gudamon due to a failed concussion, or HIA, so he'll be out of the trip
12
to Hull when it comes time, so that's the only injury concerns for the two sides. As for Hull KR, of course, losing Lachlan Coots for, effectively retiring, so that would mean Tanguy Zenon, who was on loan from the Catalan Dragons, will have his tenure extended for a little bit longer, or if they just choose to play Jack Walker at fullback. And Jordan Abdul, we don't have the latest on him, but we would assume he might be back again at some point.
Some point, it's just a matter of when, not if.
So with Lee and Hull KR, you've got the Leopards in the top 4, Hull KR trying to get back into the top 6.
You know what? I'm going to say this is going to be a very competitive game.
Oh, I have no doubt it's going to be a competitive game.
You see, Hull KR coming off the Challenge Cup quarterfinal win, and the week before that as well. And they are starting to hit their form again, like they were not that so long ago.
Well,
And then
Hull
Lee,
KR's
and then
recent
the
showing-
Leopards have been going very well this year.
With Hull KR, they've had a mixed bag over this last month and a half. They were able to nil the Huddersfield Giants, but then again, I think who hasn't really put the Huddersfield Giants to the sword? But then they had a massive 4-game losing run that was snapped by beating Wakefield. But in that,
But that was
7-point
Wakefield
loss,
too. Come on.
7-point loss to Warrington, 4-point loss to the Wigan Warriors before losing to Salford at Magic Weekend,
Bye.
10.
Yeah.
And then lost to Catalan in the south of France, and that win at Wakefield. Lee, on the other hand, were on a very healthy run heading into that game against Catalan, and I'd honestly be favouring the Leopards at home. I think Lee, you try and really push for the league leaders' shield, and I would think they do it 1-6. I think, even though Rowan Milnes and Mikey Lewis have been doing a very good job for Willie Peters in the short term, I don't think they advance far into the playoffs if they don't have Jordan Abdul in their side. And I think there'll be a lot of pressure on Tanguy Zenon to back up what he has been doing over the last 2 weeks. Of course, was him and his fellow French compatriot Fouad Yaha in for Ryan Hall at this point. I just think Zenon is going to be really tested at fullback under the high ball or with Joe Mellor and Lachlan Land. So I think Lee get up here.
By how much?
1-6. I think it'll be a very close game.
Yeah, I'm going to say the Leopards get up 1-6. It's going to be a very, very competitive game. I would not be surprised if it goes the extra distance.
So you reckon Golden Point?
I'm not confident in saying it will be going to Golden Point, but if it does, I would not be surprised.
We'll see how that one fares there. Now, St. Helens will once again be at home at the Totally Wicked Stadium up against the Castleford Tigers.
Oh,
But to compound worse results for them, they have, on top of losing Tommy Makinson and Mark Percival after their quarterfinal win against Hull FC, they then lost Curtis Siriden to a hamstring injury and Morgan Knowles to a hip problem. So they went down to Hull FC in the third meeting of the year for a league fixture, where they got absolutely steamrolled 34-6.
which was very, very, very surprising.
But it's that League Cup dynamic that if you beat someone in the Cup, the reverse often happens in the league fixture.
And we saw that.
Hull pressed full advantage, despite the fact Josh Griffin got red carded half-time in their quarterfinal showdown.
That didn't help.
How thick-headed do you have to be to swear your head off at the referee and get red carded for that? That turned the game.
It's just probably frustration and in the heat of the moment.
Oh,
you know what
heat
it's
of the
like.
moment for Griffin, and it
Under pressure.
cost him dearly.
Yeah, under pressure, like you're in the losing side, just want to, it's just frustration.
But he was lucky it didn't cost Hull a seat because they put on probably an absolute clinic on West Hull. Well, absolute clinic. I mean, losing Siriden and Knowles on top of Percival and Makinson didn't help the cause whatsoever.
No.
And they just kept turning up in defence, turning St. Helens away. I mean, no matter what Saints did, Hull had an answer for it.
Which is, I'm going to say, very rare for Hull FC. Hull FC haven't been the flashiest this season.
But they've dug themselves out of a big hole they once were in.
And not many people can really defend well from St. Helens' attack.
Well, Saints
As years gone by.
Well, Saints have been a little bit on the slide as of late, but they've managed to rally again. And I mean, 9-6 record from 15 games so far played this year.
Plus one in hand.
Yes, they still have that one game in hand. But Hull have really rocketed up the table from having incurred that 7-game losing run earlier in the year
100%.
to the point where they're practically level pegging with the Leeds Rhinos. For and against still not in their favour. But what about... And look, there were some key performers in that. Some real standout players. I mean, I was looking at Jake Truman's kicking game. It played a huge part in Hull or really turning the screws on the champions. Andre Savelio, couple of good runs as well. I think almost 100 running metres plus he did on that occasion on the right edge.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, reliable as ever, Darnell McIntosh, one of Hull's main try-scoring weapons, with no Adam Swift. But it was Jake Clifford, I thought, who really he put it to the Red V on this occasion. One try assist, 37 run meters, 3 tackle breaks, 1 line break, and 5 from 6 goals converted. An absolute clinic in the 34-6 bumping.
100%. Like, St. Helens would not be happy about that.
I said 5 from 6, not 6 from 6.
No, but
Weren't
still.
you paying attention?
No, but still, it's still solid though.
Yeah, it was a very strong performance from the black and whites.
St. Helens won't be happy about that performance though.
Oh, no, they won't. And Castleford will be coming off their own confidence-boosting win against Warrington. Even with all the players that are missing for the Saints, you just have the feeling you just do not write off the Saints at this point, even when they have been struggling a little bit more than usual.
Well, even with the Saints early this year, when they've lost a few players, they've still been able to come out and win against like top sides. But
the main focus is we shouldn't be focusing on who's missing for St. Helens because
it's who's in.
More than likely, I can see James Bell getting a spot in the back row alongside Joe Batchelor. Jake Winfield and Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook will both either one of them can easily find a spot in the starting forward pack at loose forward. And then you look at that back line, Jonathan Bennison, T. Ritson, Will Hopewadi, Conrad Harrell. That's still a pretty solid back line.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Even though you're lacking Mark Percival's carries and Tommy Megginson's try-scoring ability.
Yep. They're going to struggle a little bit, but sure they still get the victory over Castleford.
I would back the champions at home, 1-6. It's not going to be pretty, but I reckon it's still enough.
Look, if St. Helens were full fit and firing, then I would have said 21 plus by quite easily. But I still think they're going to win, but not as a big of a margin. I'm going to say 7-12.
We still agree the champions will get up.
Yep. Like always.
Now, finally, sorry. I jumped the gun. The second to last game sees the Wigan Warriors hosting the Huddersfield Giants at the DW Stadium in Wigan. Well, there's only one way we can really look at this.
Wigan?
Huddersfield are rudderless. They are dead set they're rudderless.
From what they did last season, they finished, third on the table?
They finished third on the table.
And this year, it's just gone nowhere.
They've gone backwards. Under Ian Watson, this year, they've gone backwards from the progress they started building.
Which, I had them as a league leader shield, as you're well aware. But they've just gone backwards, which is very surprising.
I just find it unbelievable. This was a side that we thought were going to be in the top 2, if not heading for the grand final. But it's just been disappointment. I mean, Jay Connor hasn't really done that much for Huddersfield. He's sort of struggled with injury, form, and playing reserves.
So, yeah.
Same story. Tui Lola here, Will Price. There's just been too many cooks, hasn't there? I mean, they're sort of simplifying it next year.
Don't Huddersfield lose Will
Price will go, so that means they can then settle on either Lola here or Connor at fullback. But then there's the problem of Ollie Russell and Theo Farge in the halves. The whole top of the spine has a serious problem, and Nathan Peets is the only constant in that.
If you put Lola Hale at fullback, then you can put what you said. Hang on, who did you say the halves? Connor and
it'd be between Jake Connor and Ollie Russell.
To
partner Theo Farge.
Yeah, then you got two Lola Hale there that can play in the halves as well. But you probably put him at fullback.
It's just turned into a bit of a mess. And Ian Watson, they need to find something and fast because the season, I've already said it's slipped away from them. It's gone. It's done.
I have to agree with you there. Unless they pull an absolute miracle and win the last 10 games, but I don't think that is likely.
I don't think so either. Wigan 13-20. This is going to be I reckon if Bevan French is playing...
And Jyfield?
Well, he's back playing as well, so I reckon either one of those two could run riot over the top.
Or a pair of them?
Yeah, both of them. I'm
going to say, my bold prediction, Field and French to get a hat-trick each.
So you reckon
in a
21-plus victory for the Warriors?
21-plus point victory for the Warriors with French and Field getting a hat-trick each.
And finally, as I jumped the gun a little bit, we have Hull FC playing host to the Catalan Dragons. Well, what a test this is. You knock off the reigning champions, now you got the current league leaders coming to town.
Yeah, but you have to think, though, St. Helens have been struggling compared to what Catalans have been.
Yeah, so that probably helped high.
That probably helped Hull FC in their victory against St. Helens. slightly.
There's no real concerns for the men from the south of France other than Mikhail Gudemont. But their forward pack's pretty strong. I think at this point you're looking at Tiaki Chan getting another run. But other than that, you got McMeekin, Bousquet, Whitley, Garcia at loose forward. Siosiwa Talkiaho, Manu Ma'u, if he comes back from injury or not. Or it's just hard to say. But the fact is, Catalan are well prepared for this.
They're high flying.
It is just unbelievable. And even with the makeshift halves pairings they've had, like, they had Cesar Rouge start the year. Then they've had Tyrone May, Mitchell Pearce, and Sam Tompkins all float in and out of the halves, with Archie Moore staying at fullback consistently. And then in the same story with the centres, you've had Mathieu Laguerre, Adam Kieran, Romain Franco, all make up the centres at one point or another, but they still
managed to find a way to win.
They've still been able to put solid performances together and have really stuck to it. And the added benefit is they don't have to make a trip to Wembley. So if you really wanted to try and solidify your spot and claim your second league leader shield, now is the time for Catalan to press home the advantage.
Second league leader shield in
3 years.
In 3 years, yeah.
And that means
impressive.
A home semi-final could be on the cards, and it could mean a second appearance at Old Trafford is also on the cards.
In 3 years.
But they have to make sure they stay where they are at the moment. They've done well to get to this point, but it's a matter of staying there.
Yeah. And as I keep saying, 10 weeks to go, it's still just under. Anything could still happen though.
But they are in a very, very healthy position. A 2-point buffer over Warrington at this point in time, though that could change if
it could go to 4.
Results play against them and into the Wolves' favour. I don't think it will, but I think Catalan continue their golden run at the moment. 7-12 over the Black and Whites.
13-20, Catalans. Yes, I know Hull FC could pull off an upset victory over St Helens, but Catalans are pretty much full strength. They're fit. They're firing. 13-20.
I look at Catalan and I think this is a side that can
they're looking very promising.
Apply the blowtorch to Hull FC. I mean, we've said in the past, Hull's got a big pack, but that can also play against them. And you really have to try and contain the Dragons' attack. That's the most important thing, because within the last month and a bit, Catalan have scored 5 tries plus, so 30 points or more, on 5 of those occasions. 46-22 win against Castleford, 36-6 win against Wakefield, 46-22 win against Wigan, 38-4 win over Hull KR, and 38-30 win against Leeds. So you really have to try.
2 of those opponents are pretty easy in Castleford and Wakefield.
But the Magic Weekend result against Wigan was...
Yeah, that was a pretty impressive result.
I think I called that the Catalan Dragons would win that one.
I think he did too.
I reckon that would be a boil over, and boil over it was. Tom Johnston, easily the best buy for Catalan.
A bit of magic, wasn't it? A bit of magic was in the air, and it definitely happened.
He's just absolutely the best buy they've ever had, and he's loving life in the south of France. I mean, he's not getting injured for one. This is the most
Don't jinx him.
Yeah, knock on wood, but it's just remarkable that he was on the conversation for England back in 2018, but of course injury sort of played against him. And since he's made the move to the south of France, wearing the number 24, he is absolutely flown.
Literally.
And in the 17 games he's played across league and cup, he has not scored. There has only been 4 occasions where he has not scored or tried.
No wonder he's leading the Super League try scoring.
3 hat-tricks and at least 2 doubles included amongst that.
Wow.
He's
on
just
fine form.
It was a very smart buy from Steve McNamara to pick him up. And of course, the French talent, as we've been saying, the French talent they've been developing, whether it be Rouge, Morgue, or even some of the other guys they brought through, like a Tanguy Zenon, they have the luxury of being able to loan him out to Hull KR while they've got their main squad completely intact.
Yeah. And back to Tom Johnston, I think he's been by its season so far.
Yeah.
Very similar to Jermaine Hopgood in the NRL.
Yeah,
Of the season.
I would not disagree with that, but you just look at that Catalan side, that entire squad they got assembled. It's just everyone knows their job, everyone knows what they're doing with it,
and they are gelling together. They got the combinations right, and they just pretty much keep everything the same week in, week out.
Yeah, it's just absolutely
it's just the consistency.
A well-oiled machine. At Steve McNamara, he's got the discipline issue in check at the moment, and Catalan,
which is good.
Catalan could go anywhere, and I reckon the next step is to go 5 in a row again.
Let's hope so.
So, on that note, it is full time here from us. If you like this part or the NRL debrief that followed up previously, make sure you leave us a like, hit that subscribe button, and click the bell to allow all notifications so you never miss a week of rugby league action. Don't forget to give us a follow on our social media. I post my standout players leaderboards for both competitions there, as well as our weekly tips on Facebook and on Instagram. You can find us at Sideline Chat, and on Twitter you can find us at Sideline Chat RL #SideChatYT. Hope you enjoyed the weekend's action coming up, and hopefully your coach doesn't get the chop moving forward. Along with Mark Henry, I'm Connor Marcellus, and you have been listening to the Sideline Chat podcast. We'll see you next week.
Peace out, peeps.